Today's video is dedicated to millions and millions of iPhone users who have been struggling for years with their ever-slowing speed of interface on their devices. Kirill Kostyanovsky here, and we're talking about Apple. The recent news about the $2 trillion capitalization of the company that they hit about a month ago, and a brand new iOS has come out. So let's celebrate and do some clubbing with the club soda. So the news about Apple capitalizations have been out for about a month. As we can see on Yahoo Finance, Apple capitalization have been going crazy. Whoa, this is a 60% jump between March 1 and August 1. And CNBC came out with a video entitled How Apple... Oh God. This company has not sponsored this video.
Parties worldwide and limited the capacity.
The episode of CNBC that came out on August 20th, entitled How Apple Became America's First $2 Trillion Company, CNBC After Hours. Let's take a look what they have to say.
Today, all unemployed Americans are not created equal.
Whoa, she is talking about unemployed Americans right off the bat. I mean, I'm kind of starting to understand where this whole debate is going to go. Let's see what else she's talking about.
Only a handful of states have been approved to get the extra federal funds that President Trump made available in his executive action. Plus, America has its first $2 trillion company as tech holds on to its crown as the winner of the coronavirus economy.
Wait, is she talking that Apple growth is related to unemployment? That can't be right. Or can it? I think it can.
Let's start with a look at Wall Street's day. All three indices finished higher as enthusiasm for the major tech names outweighed concerns about the state of the economy. So what are those concerns exactly? Well, even though the S&P hit a record this week, the economic state of the country isn't as strong as the stock market. There's still massive unemployment in America. This morning, we learned that 1.1 million people filed initial unemployment claims last week. Now, that's higher than the prior week, so those claims are trending in the wrong direction.
Those claims are trending in the wrong direction, and unless you've been living under a rock and not talked to anybody in a grocery store, in a restaurant, or in any department store, a lot of those people that were rehired, they're brought part-time, and some of them are definitely not getting the hours they were getting before. I'm pretty sure that the spike in unemployment claims is related partially to people that started working and the companies started realizing they have an excuse to underemploy them. Those people were going back on unemployment that week that she was referring to. Probably a lot of people probably keep doing that. The more the situation deteriorates, the more people go back on that.
And remember, the $600 a week boost in unemployment funds from the federal government has already expired as of the end of July. Now, President Trump did sign an executive order to extend those enhanced benefits, but only at a lower rate, $300 a week, guaranteed from the feds. But here's the thing, only a handful of states have been approved to begin implementing the order, and even fewer have started paying. It's a confusing patchwork of rules that vary state by state, meaning that where you live plays a huge role in whether or not you get boosted benefits. CNBC's Rahel Solomon can break it all down.
Whether or not you get boosted benefits depends on the state, but yeah, does it mean that Apple sales are going to be dependent state by state? Who knows?
Arizona is among the first states to begin making those payments on Monday. As of midday Thursday, 11 have been approved, but Secretary Mnuchin says 19 states have applied. South Dakota is so far the only state to say they will not apply. The governor.
Oh, South Dakota. There's always an outlier in the whole gang, and South Dakota is the one this time. Because, of course, biology doesn't work across borders. Everybody knows that. Let's see. It's getting long.
Let's get to our sound check. Here's a roundup of the day's biggest action and what the top newsmakers and business leaders had to say on CNBC's airwaves.
But as we've seen, nobody is seeing any relief from those executive orders. People are not getting unemployment. No, businesses are not going ahead and doing a payroll tax cut. There's been no movement on eviction moratorium. So we need to go back and do our job.
It's time to kind of put politics as usual to the side and focus upon that which is essential, bipartisan, and achievable. I have several bills which are bipartisan and achievable. State and local aid, more money for testing, a better strategy for testing. I could go on. If we focus on that, putting politics as usual aside, I'm hopeful that we can pass something. We need to pass something.
That's a perfect comment from the senators from Virginia and Louisiana. We need to pass something because people are being stripped of their disposable income. Economy is going to slow down inevitably. Probably some people are going to get in trouble with paying rent. So Apple stock, watch out. Let's go right into the part where she's talking about Apple directly. I think I found it.
Showing of the grip that the big tech companies currently have on the stock market, Apple's market cap crossed the $2 trillion mark yesterday. That's trillion with a T. Now, it's the first publicly traded
$2
US
trillion
company
on
to
August
ever cross this
19th,
threshold.
according to
And
her.
at $2 trillion, Apple's market value is higher than the entire GDP of countries like Canada, Russia, and Italy, just to list a few.
Wow, higher than the GDP. So people are more likely to support the cell phone manufacturer than invest into real economic sector. Yeah, that's incredible. Gotta get those returns. That's the whole idea.
CNBC.com tech editor Steve Kovac can explain how Apple beat out its rivals to $2 trillion and where the company goes from here.
So Apple hit a historic $2 trillion market cap. It's the first U.S. publicly traded company to hit that mark. And as of today, it's also the most valuable publicly traded company in the world. It's more valuable than even Saudi Aramco, the oil company.
I gotta say, this guy has his AirPods in the ears, so he's clearly an Apple fan. So he's definitely gonna be the good one to talk about Apple. Let's see this. Let's look at this graph that he's showing to us.
And what's really impressive about this is not only was Apple the first company to hit the 1 trillion mark, it's the first to hit the 2 trillion mark, and it did that in just over 2 years. It took about 40 years for it to get to that 1 trillion market cap and just 2 to hit the next trillion. And now we're already talking about, okay, what does it take to get it to 3 trillion, and is that even possible? There are a lot of pieces to this puzzle about how Apple got to 2 trillion. And even though iPhone sales have been down to flat for the last couple of years, Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, has done a really brilliant job building more products and services around the iPhone. So you have their wearable business. We have these AirPods, which I'm wearing now, which are insanely popular. You can't walk down the street without seeing someone wearing an AirPod. And also with wearables, you have the Apple Watch, which is easily the most popular smartwatch on the planet. It outshines its competitors. It's even one of the most popular just watches on the planet. So they're really building that hardware ecosystem around the iPhone on top of the services ecosystem on the iPhone, which includes this slew of new subscription services we've seen launch over the last year or two: Apple Music, Apple News Plus, Apple TV Plus, and so on down the line. And so really what they're able to do is, even if those iPhone sales start to stall, which they have this backup business and these other levers they can turn to really squeeze more revenue out of each iPhone user. If you ask Apple what's going to take them to the next level, they would, of course, point to their services business, which is still growing really healthily, not as quickly as it used to be. But yes, they're going to find new ways to package those services and make them more attractive. For example, we're expecting this fall with the launch of the new iPhones for them to start bundling the suite of services they have together into one package. And you get all these different services at sort of a discount by bundling them together. Since the services business has become so important to Apple and its growth story and its ability to get to 2 trillion and maybe one day 3 trillion, you've got to keep in mind that there are some weaknesses here. They have a lot of pressure to grow that services revenue, and that means keeping that App Store cut at 30% that Epic and Spotify and Match Group and so many others are really contending with. Right now, the App Store made by Apple is the only way you can officially get software on an iPhone. And if someone in the EU or another regulator decides, well, they need to open it up to other app stores, suddenly there's a lot more competition on the iPhone, and that can ding Apple quite a bit.
Well, that was a super informative discussion. This guy definitely knows everything about the Apple ecosystem, where it's been split into services and they're building all those products that are more and more attractive, and once you've purchased a bunch of them, you want to get more and more. I definitely have a way to go with this laptop and this phone and this mouse. There's definitely no watch, no AirPods, but maybe one day. Interesting fact that he's mentioning there is that Apple is focusing on things other than the iPhone. In fact, a lot of people are using iPhones as their entry point because you do want to have a cell phone, and it's either an Android or an iPhone, I guess, at this point. And people that opt for an iPhone, they start wanting all those other things because, as an example, iPhone, you try to transfer a file onto a computer. This is such a royal pain if it's a PC. If you try to transfer it onto a Mac, you don't even need a cable, you can AirDrop. And I know that when I originally got an iPhone myself, I was able to connect the iPhone with a cable to the PC and transfer videos and photos in a click. Right now, it technically has this option, but it freezes and it waits, and then it's not sure what it's doing, and then basically you get frustrated because it doesn't convert into the right format, and all those horrible things that happen right out of the box, and you have to find the workaround. So clearly Apple is doing a great job making you build a stack of their products in your house, and when everything costs at least $1,000, or maybe even if it's a little tiny thing, it's $300, then it's really so insignificant. You want more and more and more. So clearly, it's an amazing marketing strategy that a lot of people buy into, and based on that, a lot of investors are thinking that it's a perfect idea to throw your money into their stock because these guys really know what they're doing.
Next, 16. Airbnb is cracking down on large gatherings during the pandemic. The company has banned parties worldwide and limited the capacity in rental homes to just 16 people, although there will be exceptions at boutique properties or event venues.
I wonder if the Airbnb information is placed into this episode just to confirm the idea that if you're over 16 people, then you have to FaceTime maybe with the rest of them, and maybe rent 2 houses, diversify a little bit. So yeah, maybe. That's funny. On the subject of Apple devices, there is a really amazing article that you guys are gonna really love. It's located at support.apple.com. And it has this inconspicuous title, iPhone battery and performance. If you read down the text, it looks like they're just doing something good for your battery so that your phone doesn't shut down. But in reality, their strategies for preventing unexpected shutdowns include iPhone 6 to iPhone 7 Plus, And starting iOS 12.1, iPhone 8, through all the way through iPhone XS Max. Longer app launch times, well, you can deal with that. Lower frame rates while scrolling, yeah, I've seen that definitely. Backlight dimming, that's not a big deal. Lower speaker volume by up to 3 decibels. That's a big one, especially if you have a smaller phone. And if the speaker volume is lowered down, that's kind of a downer. Gradual frame rate reductions in some apps. Whoever knows that. Apps refreshing in background may require reloading upon launch. So eventually what will happen is that one of the apps that you got down into the background would completely reload. It's insane. I mean, yeah, this phone is literally 3.5 years old. Yes, it's old, but 3.5 years old. This started happening to this particular phone probably August 2019, whatever the iOS was at the time. This is what Apple does to convince you to upgrade from not only your iPhone 7, which of course some people still own iPhone 6 or 6 Plus, but that's not the point. What they're talking about here on this page, iPhone XS Max. I'm sure a lot of people who bought this in 2018, they still kind of like not experiencing this like spectrum of issues, but they've probably noticed something weird. That's what this says. Starting iOS 13.1 XS Max. So yeah, it's all done for the sake of your battery health. Little would you know that even if you replace the battery, your iPhone is going to do the same thing. How do I know? I replaced the battery in the iPhone. It's only $32 or $35 to do it in the Apple Store. Still does the same thing. Wonderful company. IPO is going up in price and value. 1.918 trillion capitalization mark as of today, September 16th, 2020. Let's stock up on popcorn and keep watching this price. This is really miraculous. I'm sure they're going to reach $3 trillion in no time with this strategy because they know what they're doing. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe. And until next time.